We just passed the winter solstice, which is the darkest day of the year. And in this video, I'd like to share some reflections on navigating darkness, specifically what might be called the dark night of the soul. As an entrepreneur, I've been confronted by a handful of experiences that honestly felt devastating, that I just felt I had no idea how I was going to make my way through. I believe that if you're working on anything that's truly meaningful to you, inevitably you will struggle and come up against a challenge that feels overwhelming in its immensity, possibly beyond your capacity to navigate. That's what I'd like to share some of what I've learned through my own experience in this video. One of the things that makes a dark night so challenging is the way that it takes away all of your perceived options. Obviously, if you had a course of action that felt like it was easy or available to you, you would take it. So it's the reality that you don't feel that way, that you feel like there's just nothing left, that makes the situation as difficult as it is. And one of the invitations when you're in that kind of circumstance is actually to connect more deeply with that nothing. When everything is taken away from you, when everything that you think you are or think you can or cannot do is taken away from you, what is left? And that's a discovery that only you can make. What is left when everything is taken away? And this is the space, this is the power of nothing. Just recognizing that anything that you can point at, any emotion or feeling or action that you can point at is a something. But underneath all that, when all of that is moved away, what is left? There is a nothing at the source of your being that you can begin to somehow explore and connect with and discover as a possible source of power, that maybe this nothing is actually closer to who you really are than anything else. And once you begin to connect with this space of nothing, you can ask yourself some questions. And one question is, what is available? What is available to you in that nothing? Because when everything is taken away and here you are in this nothing, something is still left. And somehow, somewhere, something is still available. It might just be tiny, it might be a tiny sliver of light. But that tiny sliver of light, of action, of possibility is actually enormous. It is the entry point into navigating through this situation. The second question you might ask yourself is, what is possible? If you would imagine your highest future outcome, the thing that you desire, that you most feel you are in service of, that you feel most called to, if that was truly possible, and if your current circumstance and situation was actually the fertile soil from which that possibility would emerge, what would that look like? If somehow, against all odds, this situation could transform to provide the very ground and vehicle for where you hope to go, what would that look like? If somewhere in this universe of everything that might be possible, there is this possibility that you could navigate to where you hope to go, what would that look like? And begin to reflect on that and consider, is it possible? Because if it is possible, then it might just be available to you if you take the next step. And again, this is a very powerful thing to realize when you are in this space of dark night. And finally, what are you committed to? And recognizing that there's a distinction between what you're committed to and what's going on internally. Internally, you might have all these difficult thoughts and feelings and emotions, and you might be feeling all this pressure and discomfort. But your commitment, your will, your capacity to step forward and take action transcends all of those. It might not be comfortable, but you can do it. And the important thing here is to be receptive to what wants to emerge, be receptive to what's really important to you and how far you're willing to go to move towards that and to navigate that territory with intelligence and awareness, but still have that agency to be able to rise above your internal circumstance, to take action towards something that you are committed to. Now, as you respond to your dark night, and I think it's important to recognize that you're always responding, even if you're crying on your bed or feeling depressed or just sitting in meditation. Everything is a response. So if you choose that you are going to take action and move forward, how do you do that most powerfully? And for me, in my experience, visualization is a total game changer. A few years ago, in 2011, I spent a year living in my car. I was $60,000 in debt, and I had no idea how I was going to get out of that situation. But at some point, I had this calling that I was going to raise $500,000. And it just felt like that was the number that had to be raised. And so I started visualizing that and imagining myself with $500,000, imagining that money coming to me, imagining how I would feel, feeling it in my emotional space, in my physical space, in my mental space. And a few weeks later, I connected with an investor that was interested in what I was working on. And he offered me $300,000. Now, I told myself, no, the number is 500. So I responded to him and I said, listen, I think you should take a bigger part of this deal and invest $500,000. And he took the deal. So I want to highlight two things here. One is that to what extent that process of visualization may have helped me reach that outcome of meeting the investor and raising the money. And two is the specificity of the visualization. Had I not been so connected to this number of $500,000, I would have probably taken his first offer. I mean, I had nothing, no negotiating leverage, nothing. This was a miracle. So there's something really powerful in getting clear on what wants to emerge and participating in that by visualizing. Now, often when we think about visualizing, we think about, oh, I'm going to visualize the fancy house and the fancy car and the wads of cash. And that's nice and all, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a more receptive visualization, sensing into what is the highest future possibility of the situation, what wants to emerge, and recognizing yourself as an instrument, as a vehicle of that possibility, and participating in that by visualizing, by really empowering yourself to be the most optimal agent of that realization. Many athletes work with visualization before they step onto the field. Now, obviously, they've trained themselves and they've prepared themselves, but there's something about the visualization that gives them that extra edge to perform. So, given your dark night of the soul and recognizing what's available, what's possible, what are you committed to, and now moving forward to take action, visualization is how you prepare yourself to truly perform, to navigate the treacherous and demanding territory of the dark night of the soul so that you can emerge transformed and victorious. All right, my friends, thank you for watching. I hope this has been somehow insightful, maybe a little inspirational, and I would love to hear from you about your dark night of the soul or how you navigate challenging situations. So much love.